let me ask you this last question, which I know is your absolute favorite topic to talk about. I hope you can stay calm, which is that one of your main critiques forever has been the excessive and very toxic influence of Obama world in the Democratic Party. You have many, many critiques of the Obama administration. There you go. You're already, look at how excited you are. But it was preceded by a face of disgust and nausea. I thought you were going to actually throw up in front of the camera. So we're starting to hear stories about the influence that the Obama campaign and sort of the people who orbit it had in the Kamala Harris campaign, including, as I guess you would expect, her brother-in-law, Tony West, who was the general counsel of Uber. And you sort of saw this attempt to be populist in the beginning of the Kamala Harris campaign when they were talking about price gouging and price controls. And then suddenly all of that disappeared and it became a much more just like vaguely centrist, safe, conservative in the compartmental and emotional sense. What do you think is the ongoing influence of the Obama circle in the Democratic Party, and how does that manifest?
Yeah, it's a great question. First, I want to go back to something about Trump, because I think it's important. What I'm looking for, the key tell will be, how does he negotiate on taxes? Because the Trump tax cuts expire, and are they going to go for the corporate tax cuts, or are they going to go for a different approach to taxes where they can get a bunch of stuff for ordinary people? And that's kind of what I'm looking at. He promised a bunch of that on the trail. No tax on tips and various other things. So we'll see. That's what I'm looking to. And there are reasons to imagine he could go either way. But on to the question that I'm just so glad you asked.
I know you are. I know. I gave you that as a present for coming on during Thanksgiving week. So it was more for you than me.
Can we put I appreciate that. Can we put some Lin-Manuel Miranda on the background?
I'll have the Hamilton soundtrack for you next time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I actually remembered the other day that horrific music was a direct part of the Obama era. Of course, the only thing it could have been a part of.
Can we could just complain about Hamilton for the rest of the show? That would be fine.
Just do a deep dive on like the evils of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I would love that.
Yeah, that's right. That his whatever. All right, we're not going to go there. All right, focus. Got to focus. Look, the Obama administration, I think, was the tail end of the transformation of the Democratic Party from a party of working people to a party of the rich. And a lot of the identity frameworks that I think have really were corrupting, that killed the more populist parts of the civil rights movement, those manifested in the Obama era in an extreme way. And then they spun off a whole set of institutions and networks and political operatives who have a specific way of doing business. And they think of the Democratic Party kind of the way that, the libertarians thought of the Republican Party, which is as their vehicle to impose a kind of aristocratic framework with a slightly different flavor of it than the old school Republicans did. And that's, I think, what you saw with a lot of the people that Kamala Harris brought in, Tony West from Uber and David Plouffe, who was, I don't know how many clients he had, but he had to get rid of TikTok, but he could keep the rest of them. I think he helped set up Mark Zuckerberg's foundation. And then just a ton of the Pod Save America guys and, that whole network of people. And I think Obama himself was, somewhat part of the thinking. He's always part of that thinking. And they really said, our model here is to raise money from really rich people and to put really rich people out front, because we think that, if the American people are concerned about the economy, they will trust
Mark Cuban,
really rich people like Mark Cuban would be, she kept doing events with him, and he kept saying, we need to get rid of tariffs. We need to, do more deregulation and the things that you would expect to hear from somebody. I mean, he actually was taking money from Google at the time. I mean, he disclosed that.
There were even promises that she had made she and Waltz had made that were populist in nature, and he would openly say in
Right.
interviews, they're not going to really do that. I don't
she
believe
doesn't
they're
need
going to
it.
do that. If they were going to do that, I wouldn't support them. Like, of course they're lying about that.
Yeah. No, and I think that was sort of the dynamic that was so disturbing. I mean, the fulcrum for me was when a bunch of billionaire donors said she's got to get rid of Lena Khan. And then there was this fight for months about whether she was going to get rid of Lena Khan or not. And she, their campaign said, oh, we don't want to have to start saying what we'll do with Lena Khan, because if we say that, then they'll be asked about every person in the administration. And we don't want to do personnel right now, which was just like obvious process garbage from Democrats addicted to process garbage. And so that was, you can just sort of see that it really drained the Democratic Party and that campaign out of vitality. And I think there are a lot of Democrats that are pretty mad about it. But, it did cause a bunch of healthy things. I think the collapse of ethnic grievance politics, simply because voters, right, just said we're going to vote a number of Black working class voters, a number of, you can look at every demographic group, but Latinos, Asian Americans, African Americans, actually everyone but white people swung to Trump. And that, I think, is causing real soul searching in the
White women in particular. White women.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the same time, I think there is a, I'm a Democrat. These people are in my party. And I'm really despondent in a lot of ways because they just have terrible ideas about what our society should look like. And they have terrible political instincts. And I kind of just want them and Bill Kristol and Liz Cheney to go off and sort of form their own party, because they are not the majority of the Democratic Party. Maybe that's just me telling myself that because I want to believe, but that is my view. And, I guess these people, it's fundamentally not, so people like me and people like them shouldn't be in the same party. And I think in the next 10 years, whoever sorts out this realignment, that's just the way it's going to wind up. But I don't know if that's going to be the Republicans. I don't know if it's going to be the Democrats. I'm not as confident in Trump, obviously, as a lot of his supporters are. But it just doesn't feel like this is a stable political situation.
Yeah, look, I think whatever you want to say about Trump, good and bad, and there's both that to say about him, I do think you cannot deny that there's been a transformative political moment in the climate, in the realignment already.
Yeah,
I think
most important figure. Yeah, important political figure.
Easily this century, since Reagan or whatever you can say. Right. And I think there's been some realignment, and I think depending on how this massive migration of voters that the Democratic Party has owned lock, stock, and barrel for decades going and voting for Trump is indicative of that enough. And I think he has a real opportunity in this second administration to make this an enduring change. As you said, if he just gives Wall Street everything he wants and tariffs skyrocket prices and workers are screwed even more, it's probably going to be, they're all going to come back to the Democrats in 2026 for the same reason they rejected Biden. But if he really, and I think Trump is a politically heterodox guy, and if he sort of stays on top of things, not in a micromanaged way, but just kind of a bird's eye way of not letting any one faction be dominant through kind of sabotaging him and undermining him. I do think I'm not saying it's going to happen, and it won't shock me if it doesn't, but there's a real potential to rearrange the electorate in a way that I consider very positive, so that Liz Cheney and Bill Kristol and David Frum are in the same party as a lot of these Democrats. And on some level, to me, especially if they don't change, that is the place that they belong, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, one can always hope that they are part of no party.
So or that they end up in The Hague. All right. All right, Matt. Well, it was always great to see you, especially this weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving to you and your family. And we will be talking to you shortly.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Have a good evening. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.